Hey guys, welcome back! Some box covers are pretty, others quite controversial, and others that are both. That's the case with Game Over from Spanish developer Dinamic Software. Let's take a look at what made this title so popular in 1987.
Luis Royo is a Spanish artist responsible for many astonishing fantasy illustrations published in so many media formats that range from art books and magazines all through music CD covers and video games. So in 1987, and in that last area, Dinamic Software hired Royo to create the artwork for their latest title that was about to be released, Game Over. Adverts on magazines, not only in Spain but also in France and the United Kingdom, was all around, and in this last country the drawing had a huge negative impact because of the offending portrayal of this awesomely gorgeous girl that was showing more than it would be probably allowed. The game was being published by Imagine Software, and it caused a huge controversial wave of negative feedback that also helped selling the game. Game Over is an amazing action run-and-gun platformer by Ignacio Ruiz, also known as Nacho, where we play as Arcos, a mega Terminator once faithful to the beautiful and evil Princess Gremla. Yes, that one. Our mission is to kill her and put an end to her cruel and oppressive leadership. To do that, we need to fight our way through this linear prison planet called Ipsis, engaging these hordes of enemies and reach the end where a ship will transport us to the next planet. Once arrived into this new world, the planet Scan, the challenge is bigger and not as linear as the first one. Gladly, instead of grenades, we manage to get a giant laser which destroys all that crosses our path. Unfortunately, this laser is limited. Planet Scan is divided into two stages, the forest and the palace. We must be very careful not to drown in the first one, so we must avoid the lakes at all costs. Once arrived in the palace, there are elevators that takes us, you guessed it, to different floors. Be aware of mines that are scattered around the palace and will obviously explode when touched. But before we slay the evil princess, let's take a deeper look into her controversial portrait. That original artwork appeared 3 years earlier on a cover of Heavy Metal, an American science fiction and fantasy comics magazine that is around since April of 1977. Because of its adult illustrated fantasy content, there was never any type of fuss around its cover's possible visual disturbance. But when that same drawing ended up on an inlay of a ZX Spectrum Amstrad CPC, MSX and Commodore 64 video game intended for kids, and with Imagine's quality seal, the negative impact was huge. Nonetheless, it also helped to sell lots of copies. Something had to be done quickly to reduce that negative impact that Game Over's cover made in the United Kingdom, even after a huge poster had been offered to the readers of issue 21 of Your Sinclair magazine. That meant that almost every bedroom in UK had a Game Over poster with Princess Gremla in all her glory. Retailers demanded that cassette and disc inlays started being printed with Dynamic's logo on top of the offending nipple, and as well in some covers with a screenshot of the game itself. At the same time, art editor of Crash magazine Olive Ray was working over the original Luis Royo artwork, placing a kind of steel plate, putting an end to the controversy. Kind of. Game Over ended up winning the award for Best Advert and Best Video Game Cover of the Year by readers of Crash magazine. The game was also available for DOS, but only in Spain. This port was developed by Pedro Sudon and has graphics taken directly from the ZX Spectrum version. I'll soon be covering with more detail this topic about video game cover art from mid-80s to early 90s that was, for me, the most incredible and competitive era, with so many great artists leaving their mark in the video game industry. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Pixel Thing, and if you did, just check my video about Spanish developer Toposoft and publisher Dinamic Software. And if you have 1 hour of spare time, also check my E3 20-year retrospective. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next week.